If your brain feels like it has 50 tabs open and half of them are frozen, you're feeling the final stretch of this, what's called the Mercury Retrograde. Today we're talking about how to transition from the fog to the fire as we hit the finish line on March 20th. We are moving from the deep, watery why of Pisces into the fiery how of Aries. If you've been stuck in the why me phase, this reading is for the how do I move forward phase. Welcome back to Bad Dad's Tarot. It is March 10th, 2026, and we are in the thick of the quote-unquote fog. Today I want to help you navigate this transition from fog to fire. Mercury retrograde is often called an illusion, but the disruptions in our communication and technology feel very, very real. Historically, Mercury is tied to Hermes and Thoth, the gods of speed and intellect. They represent a triune power of thought, word, and deed. As we approach the Astrological New Year, what I believe to be the technical, accurate New Year or beginning of the year on March 20th, we're looking at what the fog was trying to teach us, how to prepare for the Aries shift, and why we should wait until the April shadow clears, or what's called sometimes the shadow period of the retrograde. We're going to wait until that clears before we launch your big new life. With that being said, let's jump into our reading today, okay? So I've already pre-pulled the High Priest, which says intend and create. And I've pulled this card to be our guide through this reading. So it says intend and create. Recognize that you have the power to change your life. Face your fear and align with the light. In many traditions, the High Priest is the physical embodiment of the divine masculine. He acts as a bridge between worlds and is able not only to divine the future, but to help create it too. You may be a leader in this spiritual tradition, or in pagan traditions, be second to the High Priestess. But he is always spiritually connected and disciplined, with great respect for his creator and his particular practice. In a reading, this card can represent a spiritual figure, leader, or teacher in your life. Maybe me. Or an aspect of your path that has led you to where you are today. You are a bridge between heaven and earth, and it's important for you to know that you are more powerful and connected than you may think. Everything you are giving attention and energy to at this time is creating your way forward. There have been some setbacks, but accept these experiences that have led you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your spirit. Know that you are being guided by the ancestors to direct your thoughts and energies towards what you want to grow, heal, and expand. And then watch it happen right before your eyes. And it's interesting, I did pre-pull this card, but I did not read this interpretation of it prior to choosing the deck I was going to use. And it says, you are a bridge between heaven and earth, and it's important for you to know that you are more powerful and connected than you may think. And interestingly enough, I chose the Heaven and Earth Tarot for today's reading. So let me get this incense burnt, and I won't spend a lot of time doing any plugs or anything like that. I'd like to get right into the reading. Anything you need to know is in the description box. So with that said, let's jump into this, shall we? We shall. All right. Spirit, I've already pre-shuffled. But we're going to do Spirit, for this Mercury Retrograde, as we're moving out of it into, like I said, from fog into the fire. So we move out of this Mercury Retrograde period into a time of creativity, light, and expression. What do you have to tell us through the tarot today about that? Let's do this again here. Let's cleanse you guys up some too. There we go. Get a little extra cleansing going on here. All right. And I pulled out my little miniature. It's kind of like a Lenormand style deck. I pulled that out as well, but let's see what we get here. With the High Priest being our guide. Mercury, Thoth, Hermes, Trismegistus. We have the Devil. Okay. We have the Devil. We have Abundance, Three of Cups in reverse. And then we have the Princess of Pentacles, which would be like the Page of Pentacles for our going forward. And we'll tap back into that deck here in just a moment. I want to get a couple of these little ones over here to the side. Right now I'm feeling like, we're feeling, honestly, you may be feeling like you're regressing into some bad habits. They could be exploring or indulging. It represents indulgence, so it could be even overdoing it in a little too much partying, a little too much intimacy, only for the physical or something like that. It's more about gratification. So it's like we may be in some period of where we feel like we're regressing. We're feeling like we're being drawn or tempted by habits that we felt like we've already overcome and kicked previously. You may be, if you've had an issue, maybe you haven't even had an issue with drinking or something like that. Maybe you just have tried to take a break from it and you're feeling that urge or that, again, like a desire, to step back into something like that, or using some substance or something. And then we have the Three of Cups, which is, again, what did they call it here? They call it abundance. I don't necessarily disagree with that interpretation of the Three of Cups, but I don't really quite agree with it either. But it is a celebration in our intuition, in our emotions. Could be even, again, with the Three of Cups in the reverse, in the subconscious position for my table, and the Devil being in the conscious or the now, what we're aware of. It could be that we aren't feeling any kind of emotional satisfaction or satisfaction at all, or we may feel some guilt even. It could be feeling like, oh man, I've been so many months sober and I just slipped. But you didn't really slip if you're not indulging, back into being captivated, being chained to the thing, and then going forward here we have the Princess of Pentacles. This is bringing into fruition something that we're wanting to change, in the context of the rest of the cards on the table here. This is going into like, I have this new business idea. This is after we wait until this shadow period of this Mercury retrograde, so near the beginning of April. It could be planting new seeds. You could actually literally be starting a garden, and this is the time that you want to begin planting or starting your seeds indoors before you transition them outside later in the season, right? So this can be that kind of thing. It could be even you're just planting the seeds of a new creative or business idea. You may be planting the seeds of a new relationship, you know. I'm coming out of hermit mode. We've had a couple of videos already. You might want to go back and check those out. 2 previous videos about being in hermit mode, coming out of hermit mode. There's been this back and forth type of energy going on. And it could be you're trying to get yourself, you know, coming out of your hole for the winter. You know, I've been staying back. I haven't been involved in anything. I haven't wanted to go out and do anything. And now maybe you're, hey, the weather's about to start breaking. Let me start making plans for getting together with some people or doing some things to get me out of the humdrum cave of being, you know, indoors the wintertime. Now, speaking of the cave, we have the bear. So coming out of your cave, literally a bear coming out of his cave. And then we have the rider. They're both heading the same direction. The bear spirit is also in Native American, many Native American tribal ideals. They represent, the bear represents protection and is also spiritual wisdom. It goes right along with this whole Mercury Retrograde, Thoth, and Hermes Trismegistus theme that's rolling in here too, because the bear is fast, the bear is wise, the bear can climb. There's not really, if you got a bear after you, there's not a whole lot of places that you can go to run. And then we have number 16. So we went from 15, the bear, 1, which is the rider, or going out, right? So 15 plus 1 would be 16, which is the star, which is bringing us into, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing right there in the cards already. That's bringing us into the realization of the thing that we've wished for, hoped for, the seeds that we're planting, the thing that we're trying to see come from the mental, from the imagination into our reality. So with that being said, let me get some clarifiers. We'll get this other one, this jumper. Actually, I guess we should pull that. Let me shuffle this real quick and we'll pull this, flip this jumper over and see what that was all about over here in the subconscious, which since I was a jumper, I'm going to have to say that it's going to have to coincide with the 3 of Cups in the reverse. They're going to be supporting each other here. And we have the Emperor in the reverse. Maybe it's not about being so much about being the leader right now. Maybe not leader through, I'm being reminded real quick. I'm being reminded of a old meme that I used to see in an office. It wasn't called a meme then. It was just a poster that I would see in an office. And it was about the difference between a boss and a leader. The boss will sit behind the desk and give out orders, and kind of navigate through just giving orders or whatever. A true leader will get out and do it by example. They'll help, and the picture on the poster was a hill going upwards, and it had the team pulling the guy behind the desk as being a boss, and he's kind of like the chariot, he's got kind of he's just a rider. And then the leader example was him being in front of everyone else and helping to pull everyone else up. So it's when we have a task to perform, we have a goal that we have to meet. You look out for the person that just wants to sit and give orders and talk about how to do things. Maybe the people, the personalities we should be gravitating towards are those who are showing us by example. Are they just presenting to you what it's supposed to look like, or are they showing you how? Are they there with you, going through the, through the mud, in the trenches with you, as they say? And we have the Tower in reverse, so this could be a self-imposed tower. This is clarifying the devil. We have the Fool in reverse, which is our Mercury, Thoth, Aries energy in the reverse. Are all these coming out? Nope. There we go. Queen of Swords. All right, so right now, it's like we're not really creating our own tower by being tempted and indulging in a temptation, something we know isn't quite healthy for us. And it doesn't have to be extreme like corn or drugs or anything like that. It doesn't have to be feeding an addiction in that way. It can be as simple as I'm watching, my New Year's resolution was to watch my waistline, and somebody's birthday or the office party hit, and here I am eating cake and ice cream and candy and junk, stuff that I swore off, and I'm indulging. I can indulge. I'm allowing myself a little room, some grace, and you do that, and it ends up going straight to your waist if you're in my age bracket. I don't have to worry about that necessarily, but it does that. So the Fool is now we're feeling guilty. Now we're not going to maybe indulge at all. We're going to cut ourselves off. So the thing is, with this being the literal or technical New Year, in my opinion, this is, you made a New Year's resolution on January 1st. At midnight, you make your New Year's resolution. You've already cheated. You've already failed your New Year's resolution. Don't give up. Don't give up. That's what this is. Don't give up. So what? So the actual New Year, if you want to use this as your excuse, the actual New Year doesn't happen until the spring equinox, right? So right around March 21st, and then we want to wait a little bit longer before we really start something new because of the Mercury Retrograde shadow period, So, and then going forward, you're going to be more wise. You're going to maybe say no. Maybe you couldn't say no because it was somebody's birthday, and they're like, "Oh, come on! I know you haven't been drinking in, 10 months, but yeah, it's my birthday. Come on, do a shot with me." And one shot turns into two, and two turns into five, and then it turns into a couple of chasers, and it ends up being a hangover the next morning. Or maybe it's a sugar rush, and you end up crashing because of your sugar rush, and then you feel unmotivated to do whatever exercises you had planned on. The aerobics class, I'll put that off. I know I can wait another week, whatever. I just don't feel it today. That chocolate cake and that ice cream, man, that's got me crashed. You know what I'm saying, guys. So that's what it is. But this is like we allowed ourselves to let the flesh or the Hasatan, the adversary, which is the self, or Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, we allowed our own flesh, our own being human, to cause us to slip from goals that we had already set. So we don't feel like we were in control. We don't feel like there's any reason to celebrate. We don't feel like there's any reason because we didn't listen to our intuition, and we let somebody else influence our own thoughts, and that resulted in us feeling like doo-doo, right? So going forward, we know that, hey, okay, now I know what it was like. I know what it was like to not do the certain thing and to separate myself from the thing for all this time. And then I slipped up. Give yourself some grace. It's another start, another beginning, right? To begin again. Renewed your beginning. And then we have the material success, the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. So yeah, again, in the subconscious, we're feeding our subconscious that we're not successful. Oh, I suck at dieting. I can't even get 3 months in without slipping up, right? In 90 days, and that it didn't get there. Man, we're really feeling some guilt. And then we're seeing material gain. the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse, the Six of Pentacles in the reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse, clarifying the Emperor and the Three of Cups. This is, I make poor decisions. I can't trust my own. But we knew by our intuition, we knew what was going on. We knew that we didn't want to drink, but we allowed someone else to, again, influence. I'm not saying, I keep mentioning that, so maybe it resonates with one of you guys. I actually haven't been drinking. I haven't swore off of it. I just haven't been. I haven't had any reason to get out there myself, but I don't have an issue with it like that, so that's not for me. I have other issues that I've definitely been feeling this. This message is resonating with me as well. So from the fog to the fire, how do we move into this fire? You know, what's the advice going forward here? So what the fog period was trying to teach us was that we weren't as far along. We didn't have this thing beat like we thought we did. Maybe you're just trying to stop using bad language, and you still slip because in your subconscious you've already been doing that for so long. You know, cuss like a sailor, and it just comes out sometimes. You're trying to be aware of it, but you slip, or whatever. The other things we mentioned, it could be any of those things. So you're letting yourself feel the guilt. Work through it. That's what the fog is teaching you. That's what the retrograde period is teaching you. Work through this foggy feeling, this guilt feeling, whatever, and release it. Burn you some candles, or smudge your area, smudge whatever. Smudge yourself, try to get yourself into some meditative states. Maybe in the mornings, just begin your day with a short little meditation or prayer or whatever your practice is. And try to get yourself kind of feeding the subconscious to get yourself back on track, right? Oh, there we go. And the Chariot, getting yourself back on track, which is also our number one there. It's also, I'm not positive, but I think it might have something to do with Jupiter. I can't remember for sure. And then we have the Magician and going sideways. This is kind of a thing that it's up to us to change this. We can either allow ourselves, I said moving forward, so I think that's what we're doing, but it is still up to us. We have to take the action ourselves to do so, right? We have to put in the effort to make the change that we really want to see happen. So let's see what that change is going forward. Real quick here, what did I was trying to see real quick. I had a little not quite a guide, but yeah, so planting the new seeds and then our final advice. That's what I'm trying to get into here. So we're preparing for the momentum of moving forward, preparing for the momentum of the Aries New Year, the Aries fire that's being brought into our energy, into our lives, into our energetic field, into our thoughts. There's going to be a lot. Everybody's going to be thinking of things. Boom, weather's breaking if you're in the United States, or maybe you're coming out of winter wherever you're at. I know there's some people that are in other countries here. Whatever it is, you're moving into the next season. And what is that season going to bring? So what is it that we're trying to plant? What are the new seeds that we're trying to plant? And what's the advice for getting through the shadow period prior to us actually planting? Don't do the planting just yet. All we're doing right now is preparation. Poor preparation results in piss poor performance, right? So, and preparation meets opportunity. How's that go? When preparation meets opportunity, It's something, it's not luck, it's greatness, right? Something like that. I don't remember. You can let me know in the comments how that actual quote goes. The High Priestess. Hey, how about that? How about that? Going from the devil energy into the High Priestess energy. The calm, the knowing, not having to actually look back towards anyone else. I never noticed before, she has a camel behind her. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's the image of a camel behind her. And that camel would represent, water, hydration, something that's necessary. And she still has the Torah or the Tarot, the story, in her lap here. The guidebook, if you want to call it that. So this is spending some time within, and we come into our phase of out of the fog, out of the fogginess of whatever the illusion we caught ourselves being under here, and the thing we swore off of, and we kind of slipped up, and now we got to give ourselves some grace, and we're going to move into actually, hey, you know what, I do still trust my intuition, because my intuition told me not to do the thing, or it gave me some little dings, some little red flags, but I chose to ignore them. So that was my choice. Now my choice is to really tap it. That just means that showed me. Slipping up shows me that I need to spend more time in meditation. I am not as strong as I thought I was concerning this certain thing. So I'm going to have to actually put some effort in. No more self-deception with the Seven of Swords in the reverse. I'm not going to deceive myself any longer. I didn't know that I was deceiving myself, but when I slipped, I found out that I was deceiving myself in this situation. And then we have, exactly. We have this is rest from strife, and it's the Four of Swords. Exactly. Resting, meditation, prayer. I've mentioned this before. In old days, this would be, the knights would come home and they would lay in a coffin and sleep there. I don't know if it was for days or hours or what, but they would sleep in a coffin in a meditative state, not like trance, but they would be in a prayerful state, thankful for them coming home, them surviving the battle on the field, but also in reverence and remembrance of those who didn't come home, those that didn't make it home. The friends who we lost in the battle. And this could be very relevant right now in us keeping in mind things that are going on in the world, and just, having those involved in the battle, like literally in the battle, having them in our thoughts and prayers, and the families of them as well. With me being bad dad, you'll notice that a lot of my content, I like to get into the history of things, and I'll just leave you guys with this little tidbit. The Romans actually saw Mercury as a merge of Hermes and Thoth, and I do have a invocation, which is a meditation video on Thoth, the invocation of Thoth. You can find that in the, I'll try to link it in a pinned comment here. But Hermes and Thoth, they rule the speed, who rule speed and magic. This same like 3-in-1 energy, the Triune energy, later influenced the concept of the Trinity in Christianity, which was about 200 to 300 years. No one believed in that until like 200 to 300 years after the alleged supposed resurrection of Yeshua, the one they called Jesus or the Christ, or the Christ consciousness. But it reminds us that our thoughts and our words and our actions are all one system. And right now, that system is getting a reboot as we go into this Aries energy, right? Even when the planet goes direct on the 20th, don't just floor the gas pedal, like we said in the reading here. We are in the shadow until April 9th is what it says. Use this time to double check the seeds, right? We're double checking. We're using our high priestess energy. We're not going to be under self-deception. We're going to rest from strife. We're going to rest from beating ourselves up with guilt, right? So double check the seeds you're planting before you get them started. You can't just go throw them in the ground. Get them started indoors. Let them sprout and see which seeds were even any good, so they don't wither when the heat of the Aries season really kicks in. Let them get their legs, as they say in the gardening world. If this reading resonated with you, you might benefit from checking out the last 2 readings I've uploaded. One is on finding peace in the chaos and noise, pretty much of the current world. And the other one is why we may be feeling pushed into hermit mode at this time. I believe that one is the most recent prior to this video. Either way, thank you for sharing a part of your day with me. And I would greatly appreciate if you feel led, I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribed. If you're watching on YouTube, follow the channel. If you're on Rumble, and if you like to energetically, I'm not asking financially, anything like that, but if you like to energetically support independent musicians and artists, I also have some of my own original music available to check out, as well as some unique renditions, maybe original renditions of some favorite classic songs that you might like. So you can check those out on my music channel on YouTube or on my Bad Dead Tarot and Reactions and Music, I think is what it is on Rumble. I always forget the whole channel name over there, but you can check that out. Those links are all in the description of this video. I have a new song that's available on Spotify and iTunes and all of that. You can add that to your playlist if that's what you want to do. Again, links are all in the description, as well as if you would like to schedule a personal reading with me. That's my Ko-fi channel, and that you can also find in the description box down below. So you guys let me know what you thought about this reading. Let me know where you're at with this retrograde. And let me know if any of this, if you feel like you want to. You don't want to get too personal online or whatever, but you can kind of let me know if you feel like this reading helped in any way to just kind of, if nothing else, just to give you some confirmation that you're gonna be just fine. You're okay. We slip up. We make mistakes. We fall to our temptations and desires sometimes, but that doesn't mean it's the end, right? It's just the end of the retrograde. So, from fog to fire, guys. Thank you for being here. Peace be with you, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much.